Welcome back to Take a Knee with Mike and JD. I'm JD,
And I'm Mike.
and today we're going to be talking about Week 8 of the NFL season. So, uh, again, a pretty bad week for both of us.
hmm
so,
Yep.
it seems like that's going to be the rest of the year here, unless a miracle kind of happens. We both really got the shit kicked out of us this week.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, with the Packers, I wasn't even that upset with the game. Like, I thought, for most part, they probably competed a lot better than I thought. I mean, I thought they were going to get blown out. They kind of stayed in it, and um, if it wasn't for, I still think that is one of the worst offensive PI calls called on Tonyan like that. And really, without that, we probably have a chance to win it at the end. Like, not that I think it really matters. Like, and you can't but I just, it's another one of those calls that a ref makes where I just can't understand it. And in the same game, to have several times where New York called through without even it being challenged by the Bills coach to overturn decisions, but to not overturn that, I'm just like, what, you know, what's the point? Like, it just feels like they've gone, look, the Bills are the better team. It's we get in less trouble if there's not an upset. So like, because I mean, it's just essentially that guy was all over him. So essentially, all Tonya could do to not get a PI call there is just lay down and let the play be. Like, it's just ridiculous. But anyway, that's that's. That's the NFL officiating. Like, there is barely a game where you don't have one horrible call and nothing's ever changed. Like, when have you ever heard of a ref getting stood down or having to go and work on their game? Doesn't happen. So whatever. I think the season's pretty much over. I I I I don't understand what they're doing. Like, the only thing I really want to focus on in the recap is more just the lack of activity in the trade window. Like,
Right. Yeah.
it makes no sense to me.
That's
Sorry.
kind of I was just gonna say that's kind of the big thing that I wanted to talk to, because there isn't much to talk about the Steeler game this week, so it's more so the moves that both of our teams either made or didn't make that I really wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I don't understand the rationale for doing absolutely nothing in the trade window. Like, apparently they'll in on Claypool, and the Steelers chose the Bears or whatever. But either, like, this team needed to sign a receiver if there are any chance this season. So whether or not the Claypool could have happened, there's other receivers you could have gone for. So essentially saying, well, if you like, the position we're in, we either had to buy or sell. Like, if you weren't going to buy, it made no sense not to try to, get us, like, if you're saying this season's over, which essentially that's what Gutekunst has done. He said this season is done, so we need to be loading up for next season. Next season, in all likelihood, is Aaron Rodgers won't be here either through retirement or a
Yeah,
trade.
it
He won't be
seems
part
that
of a
way.
rebuild.
I would kind of be shocked if he is playing in Green Bay next year, if he does play.
Yep, and so next season is either about it's Love's first full season, or if they're not confident in Love, it's another quarterback's full season. So that quarterback needs weapons. So they're not going to hold on to Jones next year. His cap hit is too high. So it made sense, if you're going, okay, we can't win it this year, we need to be selling off guys like Jones and that to get the picks to surround. Like, so look, it just makes no sense. I saw a really good article, which I think has probably hit the nail on the head. Is the whole bringing Rodgers back wasn't the best for this team, with everything that had gone on, with having already drafted Love. Like, the best decision for this team was to, move on Rodgers, get those
Picks and
picks,
everything, yeah.
and or weapons or whatever, surrounded Love to give his best start possible into the NFL. They didn't do that, and the reason they didn't do that is they wanted to keep their jobs. Bringing Rodgers back is they look at that. Well, we'll win enough games. We'll still be around for another year. And
Yeah,
to be honest,
it like you trade up and you draft Love in the first round, and so that obviously tells you that you really like the guy. So And a lot of teams do this. Obviously, Green Bay did that with Favre, where at the last season or two of your franchise quarterback's career, you take that guy who's supposed to step in so that he can learn behind your franchise quarterback. So you would think that if they drafted Love, they would have either moved on from Aaron Rodgers after that season or last season. So it is weird to keep him around when you have Jordan Love. It's kind of at this point, this is Jordan Love's third season. I would say that you would want to run with the young guy, and then at that point, less cap hit, all that stuff. But the Packers would be better. It's funny to say it right now because Aaron Rodgers is obviously a Hall of Fame caliber quarterback, but they probably would be better off right now had they traded him this summer than keeping him right now.
Yeah, absolutely. But if you don't trade him, you don't have if we trade him and he goes on to play really well somewhere else, or even if he doesn't, if we trade him and Love comes in, even the best quarterbacks often that go on to be the best quarterbacks have not great rookie seasons. There's such a steep learning curve for them. So if we trade him, Love comes in, and we don't have a successful season, it's looked back on, you had Aaron Rodgers and you traded him away. And even if Rodgers goes bad elsewhere, you say, well, he didn't go well there, but, he's, the chemistry in Green Bay would have been different. And, the attacks would be out there. But you don't do that, and, you keep him, and it's like you've done everything you can, even though they haven't. But, it just hasn't worked. You couldn't keep Adams. You tried to sign Adams. He got the same amount of money and went to Raiders, all this kind of stuff. So it's really cowardly in my mind, and it's not what you should be in sports administration for. But unfortunately, most GMs, that's exactly why they're in there.
So and if you look at the package that Russell Wilson got, the Seahawks, they got, people at the time was saying, even though the Broncos paid a lot, they were like, well, they got Russell Wilson. They won that trade either way. Russell Wilson has completely struggled out of the gate. The Seahawks, have a better record than them. They have all those high draft picks right now. So Green Bay is a good team. It is weird that they are losing these games, but you really think that they'd be better with these multiple... they had multiple first-round picks, but even more first-round picks and higher-end picks to build this team back up. But that is the thing. It is kind of sink or swim sort of with Love right now. I think that you would have gotten rid of Rodgers, at least for this year, because... it is Love's third year. If he isn't the guy in the games, he's not practicing well or he's not playing well, there's a pretty good quarterback class in this draft that then you could spend one of your higher picks on again and either move on from Love. So right now it's kind of like this real awkward situation that they're really the Packers aren't benefiting either way right now with having Aaron Rodgers because they're not winning and they don't have valuable assets right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it as on the flip side, the Steelers were able to trade something of some sort of value to get a higher end pick. Now, Chase Claypool obviously had a really great rookie season. But his rookie season, I think, was the anomaly of what type of receiver Chase Claypool is. So even coming out of college when we drafted him, it was all, he's a big target. He has big, long arms. But he doesn't catch the ball well. He kind of struggles with catching the ball. And so after his rookie year, his last two seasons, you've seen that where he really can't. He's supposed to be this get the ball up at the height of the catch, contested catches, and he hasn't really done that the last 2 years. They've mainly just been using him as like a jet sweep guy, which, he's obviously a real big wide receiver, so let him, that's worked for them. They ran that exact play against Philly, and they scored a touchdown that he threw for, it was, so that was probably out of the pieces that they had to trade, he was the one because he still had value when he was young. He sort of has that prestige a little bit on him. And he also has another year under his contract. So you're not trading away a rental and things like that. You're trading away a young guy who isn't really who sort of, as of right now, is at the peak of his value. You get a second-round pick for him. That's a high-end pick. Now, after researching it, It is the pick that Baltimore gave Chicago for Roquan Smith. So it's Baltimore's second round pick, which means it'll probably be near the end of the second round. However, now you have 2 second round picks that if you wanted to trade back up into the first round, you can package those picks together and move back up. Now you have 2 first round picks. So having more of those second and third round picks, even though they're not first, can get you a first. So, the Steelers aren't going to win this year. Chase Claypool, they kind of made him expendable when they drafted George Pickens. George Pickens is a really good wide receiver. We've seen the crazy catches that he's made. So I think they made, and we talked about this last week, but I think they made a great decision in trading Claypool, and the fact they got a second for him, I was a little surprised. I really thought he'd be get a third or a fourth. So, but you would think that if Green Bay thinks they're still in it, that they would be okay with parting with a second round pick, but I'm kind of happy. I was surprised that it was Chicago of all places, but I guess they want to sort of surround Justin Fields with more targets. And look, I hope Chase Claypool succeeds. I'm not one of these guys that, we trade him away and I hope he fails. I hope that he and Justin Fields develop a chemistry together. But I was pretty happy when they traded him away because it's not typically what the Steelers do. We never really make any trades. It was kind of rare. We traded for Minka Fitzpatrick. We traded away Antonio Brown, but we don't ever really do that. So to now have Omar Khan, sort of this newer age GM, where he is going to acquire, valuable assets, I do hope that they use them to trade up more or do something else in the offseason. But even though we got the shit kicked out of us by Philadelphia, I'm happy with the trade deadline. As it stands, we got something for a player that isn't going to help us win right now. So and then I guess the only thing about the game this week is it is disappointing. Pickett throws another interception. He didn't have a lot of completions downfield. But again, like I've said the last few weeks, and like how you said, it's not rare for a rookie quarterback to come in and struggle. Now, yes, he is 24, so he's at a more of an advanced age than somebody who normally comes out at 21, 22. But it's the NFL, man. It's not college. Yes, he's older, but it's the NFL. You're playing against men out there, and smarter coaches and smarter schemes and things like that. So, he's not a 24-year-old playing against a 19-year-old cornerback, in college. So, if he's going to struggle, I would prefer it be right now. Obviously, I hope the interceptions come down, but the rumor is that Matt Canada, their offensive coordinator, if he's not, I haven't looked in the last few hours, but if he's not been fired yet, he'll probably be fired on Thursday after their media scrum, which I hope so because, I believe he's had 26 games as the offensive coordinator, and they've only scored over 20 points in 6 of them. So 20 out of the 26 games, they've scored 20 points or below. That is awful. That is really bad. That's nearly 2 full seasons. His offense clearly isn't working. We need a new offense. We need Kenny Pickett deserves a new offense. But like I said, if he struggles this year, I'd rather him to learn through these struggles now. Use those picks. Trade up in the first round. Get a great quality guard or get a great center. Or get somebody that will. Right now, their biggest need right now is offensive linemen, and they've set themselves up to get at least 2, 1 or 2 higher in the draft this year. So, I do want to ask you. So you see, Green Bay stays pat, and Chicago trades for Chase Claypool, and Minnesota trades for T.J. Hawkinson, and your team does nothing. So, how does that feel?
Well, it's just it's just bizarre. Like I don't. I mean, like I said, I don't understand what the Packers are doing. Like really, right now we're one of the worst teams in the division. We did nothing to get better. I mean, to be honest, like I said, I mean, I can understand. I mean, this season we're long odds to make the playoffs. We're absolutely no chance of winning the Super Bowl. Which really, at the end of the day, if you're not winning the Super Bowl, it doesn't really matter. Like, so in that stage, like in that mind, I can understand them going, okay, well, look, we couldn't. Claypool was our guy. We couldn't get him, so whatever. But at the same time, I understand if that's your mindset, why you aren't selling. Like you're just sitting in limbo. Like
exactly.
But I don't understand. I really understand the Bears. Like, Claypool isn't going to get them to the Super Bowl. Like, they've got too many other issues on their team for that to be, the missing link. Which really, that's for a lot of times. If you're making moves at the trade deadline and giving up, big capital, like a second-round pick, that's got to be a marginal gain. Like, that's got to be, okay, either that's taken us from, really, if you're bad to go to average, there's no point doing that. Like, that's taken us from average to good, or that's taken us from good to great, or that's taken us from great to, serious contenders for the Super Bowl, which I don't think Claypool does for them.
No, but I think what they're doing, because Claypool still has another contract and Chicago most likely will have the cap space to sign him, it is a move for the future. So it comes down to, if you're going to draft a wide receiver in the second round, that's sort of an unproven guy. So why not use that second round pick that you would draft a wide receiver with and use it to go get sort of, proven wide receiver in the sense that he can play in the league. It's just, he needs to have a better scheme in order for him to succeed more. So I can sort of see what Chicago is doing. It is weird to have, they're 3-5. They traded away, one of the cornerstones in their defense in Roquan Smith, and they traded away Quinn to Philadelphia. So it's this weird, buying and selling that Chicago's doing right now. But it seems like they're obviously doing it for next season and beyond. And it is so, just to kind of make a baseball analogy. So the NFL trade deadline is nothing compared to the MLB trade deadline. I mean, it's hectic when it's that last day, that second to last day. I mean, there's dozens of trades all day going on. It's crazy trying to track all this stuff. But if you have a team that's bad, who has a veteran on an expiring contract or one more year, you always that is a valuable asset to then trade and get something for him, especially on an expiring contract. So in that example, like Green Bay, you have your old quarterback in Aaron Rodgers. What is the point of keeping him? He's more valuable to you as draft picks right now.
Yep.
He's like I said, Hall of Fame quarterback, won a Super Bowl. I'm just saying, as the NFL is a business. He's more valuable to them for what he can get from another team than him helping them win right now, in my opinion.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah. So,
and the Hockenson one, I don't really get. For the Lions to be trading him within the division, you don't see that very often, and he's a good tight end, but tight ends, do they really move the needle that much? If you're a tight end not named Kelsey or Kittle, I don't see the.
I guess this is kind of I don't want to say Minnesota's last shot, but this is probably their best shot since they lost that NFC Championship game with Brett Favre 10 years ago. So. If you're leading this division, you want to go out and get your quarterback a big target. And Hawkins is a good tight end. He definitely, I think, makes the Vikings better. But I do like the move for sort of this. I don't want to even call Minnesota pass heavy because they have Dalvin Cook, but they seem more like they are. They do pass. They have Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen, and now you have a big end zone target in T.J. Hawkinson. So I very much like the move for Minnesota. I do think it makes them a lot better and a better contender. We've disagreed.
Okay, that's fair. No, that's fair. I don't. And maybe I'm just not very high on Hawkinson. I just don't see the upgrade to that much of an upgrade between whoever they had, as their number one tight end. But we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. So the other ones, real quick, the Ravens got better. They got Roquan Smith from Chicago, so that is a little disappointing. Obviously, when the Ravens get better, it sucks. And the Chiefs went out and traded for Kadarius Toney, the Giants' former first-round pick from just a few years ago. So they've decided to move on from him pretty early, and he goes to Kansas City. So we'll see if that resurrects his career. But yeah, so the good news is that the Steelers can't lose this week because they don't play this week. So my Monday won't be ruined next Monday because I won't be in a bad mood because the Steelers wouldn't have played. But hopefully, we'll see. This I've said before. The Steelers have started 2-6 before under Tomlin, and they've finished with not a losing record. So it's doable, but it's very unlikely. This probably will shape up to be Tomlin's first losing season, which would be disappointing. It's fun to have that streak, but you got to lose sometimes. So right now, honestly, I would kind of prefer them to lose, just because if we get a top 5 pick in every round, you've just drafted your quarterback. You have a great talent. You have a great wide receiver room. You have a pretty good defense. You could supplement it with high round picks. I'm kind of okay with it if they use those picks good. So I've kind of gone through the 5 stages of grief. I'm kind of at acceptance right now. So
yep.
All right, so that was week 8 of the 2022 NFL season. Please comment down below what you thought of this week. If you agree with us on our takes about this trade deadline, please consider subscribing and liking this video. But other than that, I hope you guys have a nice day.
See you guys.